women have two options: seeing someone who's doing something that impresses you, or maybe you want to do that, and you can either say, I'm jealous, or you can say, look at this amazing woman, and then turn it around and say, what about her is like stirring up something in me?
That's two-time best-selling author Brianna Madia. I'm Kara Duffy, and this is the Powerful Ladies Podcast. Special note that in this episode, we have an extra co-host, Shayla Plus. Well, let's dive right in. Let's tell everybody who you are, where you are in the world, and what are many of the things that you're up to.
So my name is Brianna Madia. I am an author. I am what was formerly known as an influencer, but I believe we're calling it content creator now. That's still very much a part of what I do, so I have to mention it. Currently, I am in Bend, Oregon, where my fiance lives, but I live in Utah, my out-of-state husband. And yeah, I am really excited because in 3 weeks, I am moving back into my van for like 3.5, maybe 4 months, and really getting back to, I lived out of my van for many years, my gigantic orange, constantly breaking van. And that was really when I started writing on social media, which then kind of led to my books. But it's really been a very long time, since before my divorce, that I have gotten in that van for like months on end, months and months on end. And so I'm really excited. I'm like super excited. I'm excited to get back to, like, sometimes I feel like if I don't go live like that for an extended period of time, I feel like I lose like some sort of muscle atrophies. It almost feels like an emotional muscle. But I just feel like when things are really easy, like when there's just like running water and temperature control, I feel like I get lazy. And so I'm like, I need to remind myself that I'm like very capable and I'm ready for the end times. And so I don't know. It's interesting to be like, oh, I can't wait to go kind of like struggle and like figure stuff out again, and hopefully stay off tow trucks for once in that van's life. But
I totally get that feeling. I, without planning to, ended up living in Orange County, California right now, which is the easiest place probably on the planet to live. Whatever you need. It's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, an airport, literally whatever you can dream up. Yeah. It is right here.
Yeah.
And I've moved all around the world. I have we were talking about Shay and I before about we're both city girls, but also outdoor girls. Like, does that make sense? And I was just in New York and I'm like, I have to go into these other environments where it's like, send me back to Mongolia where I don't know what's happening, because it's like forgetting how to do something. To your point, it's like, wait, am I still that person? Have I gotten too soft? Like, am I floating through life?
This is what my entire third book is about.
Oh,
that I'm currently writing. So I'm writing my third book right now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And yeah, it's really about kind of like I'm 35 now, and I feel like, I went from being like, I still am this very like rebellious, like I'm like, I don't want to do dishes. That's for like regular people. Like, just like there's still this part of me. And I think it's because in order to live the life that I was living for so long, like in the van, living on a sailboat for a little while, living in my trailer on my property with no amenities whatsoever, in order to like really lean into that kind of life, I had to just wholesale disregard like regular life and sort of like very anti. And by the time, I'm 33, I think when my fiance bought this house, I was like, I literally felt like I had failed in some way. And it's not my house, like it's his house. I don't know the paper. I'm not on the paperwork. But I felt like I was like failing somehow, especially when I started to really like aspects of like,
A
oh, I'm
flushing
gonna
toilet.
couches. Yes, I'm gonna decorate, and something is gonna start to feel like a space that is like permanent. But I still like, even saying that, I'm like, but I do not claim Bend.
Just
So it's
floating
like,
through.
yeah, and I think so many people feel the pressure to like every single day tell the world exactly who you are. But that changes day to day, minute for me, minute to minute. Like this morning I was out walking around with the dogs and I was like, "Oh, you're going to get back to like being in the van, you're going to go feral. You're going to be naked and feral and running around all over the place. It's going to be awesome." And then I got back here and I was like, what butternut squash lasagna recipe should I make for my friends who are coming over to play board games tonight? Yesterday, I did a fucking puzzle of cats having a tea party. And I'm like, I don't, but then, 3 weeks from now, I'm going to be back. And so it's like, I've tried to embrace that, like, we all have so many different sides of us, and you can love each of those things equally. One year, you might want, sometimes I really just want to be here and I just want to like hunker down and like hibernate. And then I all of a sudden I know when I want to go. Like I get itchy feet. Like I'm like, it's time to go. Even my fiance is like, you should go to Utah.
Can you
Should
please go to Utah like tomorrow?
take the dogs with you. Um, yeah, so I don't know. It's definitely, that's a big theme in my book, and I feel like it's a big theme for a lot of women that I've
Mhm.
talked to, especially like my friends are all becoming moms, and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, so now am I just like mom? I'm just mom. And they're fighting so hard to be like, but I'm not. I still have like these parts of me. And it's like, and I'm like, I understand it's a fight, but I was like, you also have to realize like at certain times, one aspect of your life is going to take up the majority of your time. Things are not going to be equally split. You're not going to be doing all the really fun stuff that you used to do and being a super awesome mom, but that will come. Like
Mhm.
it's sort of like a balancing act. And I just, yeah, I feel like especially with social media, we're all just so obsessed with like knowing exactly how to present ourselves at all times when it's an
Yeah.
ever-changing thing.
And it's been so
I think
interesting. Oh, go ahead, Shay.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think we're pushed to define ourselves a lot. And I started writing myself about something that I'm calling the everything girl, because I think a lot of us are everything girl. Like,
Yes.
I'm not just a city girl or a mountain girl. I'm not just a mom or a single person or a partner. I'm not just a marketing professional, but I'm also like all of these different things.
Yeah.
We have to give ourselves permission to exist in all of those facets
Yeah.
at the same
time. Yeah. And
And
it almost feels like protest, even. Like I think that's why we kind of constantly feel like we have to prove it, is because it feels like just by the act of like embracing all of these sides of you almost feels like protesting this, like, there's either, I feel like people either think of like women as like these like feral witches, man hating, living in the woods, whatever, or a 1950s housewife. And like, that's it, and there's so much in between there. The everything girl, I love that. That's great. I can't wait to read it. Where can I read it?
Well, eventually I will share it with others.
Email it to me.
It's also why my one of my clients, Andrew Pedersen, is a fine artist, and we were working on his art show last October, and it was a whole Italy themed collection. He goes to Rome every year and makes amazing things, but there's that Italian phrase, dolce far niente, the joy, the sweetness of doing nothing. And he's like, that phrase is so dumb. He goes, and we changed it. And he was very sweet. He made me a journal with like, we have matching journals with it printed on the top that says dolce far tutto, the joy of doing everything. Because who wants to do nothing? Like even the things that feel like look like we're doing nothing, we're like, no, we're charging, we're like laying in the dirt, we're in a river, like we're still doing something. And I always thought I was the weirdo who was like, guys, why do you want this preset cookie box life? Like there's so many things to do and see and taste, and aren't you curious? Like this podcast has been so rewarding to me simply from finding other women who are genuinely curious about all the things there is to like do and see and participate in. And I'm always shocked, especially in the dating world. And you're like, you have no questions to ask me? Okay, wow. Awesome.
Honestly, that is, it's so cool how many different types of women, like just scrolling through. And then I know you have to talk to Alice. She is our friend Alice, the one who's going to be a pilot, getting her. Yeah. I always say, this is my friend Alice. She could fit in the overhead compartment. However, she will soon be the pilot of the planes that everybody's flying.
I love that.
Yeah, but it's so cool to see how more women are kind of embracing like both sides. And I think that kind of comes with age too. Like I feel like when I was younger, I just wanted to be rebellious, like that was just kind of, and then yeah, you kind of realize the real rebellion is just like not really caring what other people think about who you are or what you're doing. Like that's where you've really, and that's what I think that's why the 30s have been so weird. My 30s have been started out really rough. And then I don't know, I just feel like I almost wonder like if COVID had hit, if I had started going through my divorce, if I had been like in my 20s still, if I would have, I mean, I think it would have really wrecked me. Whereas like it was horrible when I got divorced, but I think like that time my life fell apart right when I turned 30. And I really did feel like this is like I felt like more like myself every day, even though I was like shedding all of this stuff. It was almost like overwhelming. And I don't know how I got onto that topic. As Shay knows, I will just, we never know where we're going to end up.
Well, so I have a seared image in my head of you and Jed sitting next to each other at the book signing at Mountain Film. And I had the thought, I'm like, how does it feel to you when you look at the lists you were on and the list that you were on with people you admire being on them? Because for my own experience, when that's happened, you're like, oh, wait, like I put all this distance between me and these people and it just gets collapsed. Like, how has that experience been for you to truly be sitting at the table with people that you've admired and respected and suddenly be like, we're knighted as equals? How did this happen?
That's such a good question because it's still so surreal to me. Like when Jedediah Jenkins started following me on Instagram, I screenshot it and sent it to my friend Kaylin and now Jedediah Jenkins literally just texted me an hour before this asking about the swimming with whales. But it's really weird. And I am someone, like I actually was really mad at myself recently. And I was like saying to my therapist, I was like, how many best-selling books do I have to write before the imposter syndrome goes away? Like, I still feel, I don't know, I feel like I'm not on those ranks. I also feel like I don't spend a whole lot of time in the community of like writers and like attending writers things and being a part of, I'm such like a hermit. I just go like hide in the desert with my dogs. And I also think like that would probably make me feel a little better because I mean, when you look up to somebody, I think sometimes it's like they say, don't meet your heroes or never meet your heroes, whatever. But I think it's so comforting when you meet people and realize they're just people. They're just people. And they probably either did at one point or still do feel the feelings of like, why am I at this table? Especially authors, I don't know that there's many, memoirists at least. I don't know that there's many like really snobby, like you don't belong. Like I think a lot of people have doubted themselves and are welcome with open arms other writers and stuff. But yeah, it's surreal. And I actually said this morning, Lainey Wilson is my Taylor Swift. And she is coming to Bend. And I immediately went and bought like 5 tickets just because I was like, well, my mom's going to fly out to go to the concert with me. Like we're big. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Can't believe I'm going to see her again for the second time. And then Willie goes, is it weird to think that like people get really excited to see you like in that capacity? And I was like, not on this scale, not on the scale. And he was like, how do you know? Wait. And I was like, because I'm not Lainey Wilson. Like Like I just, it's so,
Yeah.
it's strange. And like even people coming up to hug me and I can feel that their like hands are shaking and they're nervous. And I just want to be like, but it's me. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, I
with that.
You what?
The first time I met you, I was so nervous. Are you kidding?
Really?
Yeah.
And now you know what a total idiot I am.
Well,
No.
you just immediately you made me feel so comfortable right out the gate.
Yeah.
And I think that's you're just you are exactly who I expected you to be.
Oh,
and
good.
that was in like the best possible way. But I think I will absolutely back Willie's statement. I think I told him that day that I was so nervous to meet you because I've known who you are forever.
Yeah.
I've always looked up to you. You're an incredible, I want to be saying, like, people definitely feel that way about you. Granted, you're not a country music singer, but
not
you're
yet.
a writer.
Just wait.
Look
After
out.
the third book, that's the next tour.
Yeah, bitches.
Yeah.
But yes, you are. You very much are that kind of a presence.
Thank you.
So.
I can vouch that what Shay is telling is the truth because I'm pretty sure I got a text message immediately thereafter being like, you are not going to believe what happened today. And I'm like, this is what manifesting is, Shay. You be a good person and you work hard and you just keep like, no, it's going to happen. And you mentioned like not meeting your heroes. Like one of our trademarks in my coaching business is a ridiculous and extraordinary life.
Love that.
It has to have the ridiculous component. And so we've had previously in the podcast, Duff, the MTV VJ from the 90s. She reached out to us. I know. She reached out to me and was like, I love your podcast. Can I be a guest? And I was like, of course you can. Like you were on my wall when I was a teenager. What are you talking about? And then I was just in New York and I went to her apartment and we had a coffee and we hung out for 2 hours. And like I was levitating walking out of there because like when you do get to have these ridiculous experiences where you are meeting heroes or just people that you were like, there's no way that's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
There's something like, this is going to sound so woo-woo, but like it proves to me like that there is magic and that there are these things happening to conspire to make sure the right people are getting connected.
Yeah.
Because I've never met anyone that I was excited to meet and been disappointed. Yeah. And it's so cool when you meet someone you want to meet and you're like, and now we're friends.
Yeah.
Like Jed is now texting me. True. What is happening?
Yeah. I will say a brief aside. I think the most surreal, and I still like it'll hit me every now and again, and I just can't even believe it's true. But you guys remember the talk show host Ricki Lake?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she and I chat all the time.
Incredible.
Like, via my DMs. She's a big dog lover, but like we're talking 8-year-old me, homesick from school, sitting in front of the TV, watching these crazy talk shows. Ricki Lake. And then the fact I was like, Ricki Lake knows who I am. Not only does she know who I am, she knows all my dogs' names. And I don't know why. I guess because that's really the only like the scale of it, of just like, I remember seeing that person on TV and in a world where that person talks to me, not only are we very, like the age difference is significant.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it's crazy, but I think it's so fun. Like, I think like the wackier the connection, the better.
Yes. Yes. Like it's, I'm now challenging clients and people in my life to be like, do you have a ridiculous list? Because you make one and it is such a delight when you check something off the box because you don't even like try. You're like, this is the it'll never happen list. And then when it does, you feel like you are 8 years old and just got the best like glitter rock star outfit you could ever have.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
that's amazing.
I also grew up in the Northeast. Like I consider Boston home. And there's something I think also about that is not talked about enough. And maybe it is, and I'm not reading the right books. But there is something about the weird mix of progressive and Puritan and having to deal with like the hardships. I mean, you get this too, Shay, from like Pittsburgh as well. Like there's something in that weird petri dish that just shifts how you think about the rest of the world. When you look at your life, how has growing up in Connecticut shaped how you see everything else, or the grit, or whatever you might have?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it sounds so mean because, there's plenty of people in Connecticut that I love, and I have plenty of wonderful memories there. But Connecticut is growing up in Connecticut is what inspired me to move out of Connecticut,
Yes.
to move out of New England, out of, and it's interesting because I think what I found the most, I mean, I've moved to Utah, it's almost 14 years ago, almost 14 years ago now. So I think I've lived pretty soon. I will have lived like out of the state longer than I was ever in it. But um, I feel like I felt this way before I had even traveled. And now that I've traveled so much, I really feel this way. It's a melting pot. Like there's all kinds of people in the area, but it seems like everybody believes that this is the best and only and most superior place in the whole world. Why would I ever leave? Like I feel like it's like, because I grew up around lots of different kinds of people who spoke different languages and different religions and different races. So I mean, but in a certain puppy, but in a certain regard, it still felt so sheltered, very sheltered. And like, I don't know. I mean, I wrote this in my first book, and it's just, I feel like it still just really encompasses how I felt about growing up in Connecticut. It just felt like what you had was more important than who you were. And if you didn't have the right car and the right outfit and the right Ivy League degree and the right, then it didn't matter. It didn't matter if you were funny or, like it was, I mean, kids just weren't allowed to come trick or treat in my neighborhood. And my neighborhood was really cute. It just happened to be in a city that was like, we don't go there. And it's just like all of these little make believe, like, oh, the little sign on the back of your car somehow makes you better than this other person. It just felt like it didn't feel like a real life. I was like, this doesn't feel like substance.
Yes.
The author. Like I feel like it just felt fake and manicured, and I was like, everything is perfect, and now it's boring me to fucking tears. Like the perfectness, the fact, like driving through a place where every house looks the same. And it's, everywhere is somewhere to someone, and so I try to, but that's my fucking nightmare. Like, I just could never. I mean, like, that's why I loved Salt Lake City. I do love that about Bend too. Like, even though it's like suburbs, they're all cute little different houses and but yeah, just that sameness and everybody wants to be just like everybody else. Like, you don't really want to stand out. And I've felt this pull. I don't know where this shit comes from. I don't know. Maybe you guys get like, I want to be different. Like, it's sort of a driving force for me. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if it's from being traumatized or being inspired. I don't know, but I've always wanted to be different. I don't want to be wearing what other people are wearing. I don't want to be for as long as I can remember. I don't know if you guys at all feel that way.
No, I mean, I'm 43 and growing up in the 90s, like I graduated high school in 99, right? So like full middle school through high school, grunge alternative experience.
Yeah.
And then I had gone away to live in Europe for a while. I came back and I'm like, when did we give up that we shouldn't look like clones? Like, what's happening? And then when like the 90s and the Y2K trends were coming back in fashion, I'm like, ooh, are we also going to bring back the mindset of like being a little wacky, like showing who you really are? And like we were horrified when we would show up wearing anything similar. Now, granted, was our wardrobes, were there plenty of overlap? Did we all have Converse? Yes. Like it was still a subculture. Of course. But just the idea of like celebrating the things that made people unique. Why have a unicorn on my finger, for crying out loud, right? Like, I don't understand like the celebrating the sameness. I think it makes sense when we're trying to cross lines and come together at a human level. But otherwise, like, it's also why my mind melts with like all the DEI conversations right now. I'm like, isn't like mixing it good? Like if nothing else, at a purely genetic perspective, shouldn't we be encouraging this?
Wild to think, right?
I don't get it.
It's absurd.
I also wonder how much of it was the heat and the height of brand, because I do think that generationally, millennials in particular hit the sort of height of like brand mattering and brand name mattering.
Abercrombie.
It created a homogeneousness in our style that only people with that sort of like gut punk rock sensibility, which is what Kara and I talk about a lot, that we both sort of gravitate towards this, like, no, I don't want to be anything like you. And not in like a mean way. I just like we all want to be different.
Yeah.
We gravitated away from that because we were just like inundated constantly with this, like, in order to fit in, you must use these brands and these are the best. Yeah. And I still get called out by my friends for being like, no, I don't like that song. And it's not because I actually listen to it and I don't like it. It's because everybody else likes it. Like, it turns me off.
Yeah.
Like the Chaperone thing. I'm sure she's so great.
I was just about to say, I was just in New Orleans and we were at a karaoke bar and it was my birthday and
those pictures looked fabulous, by the way. I was like, just from now on, I'm just doing a birthday photo shoot. I don't even care what party it is, but we're doing the photo shoot.
It was so fun. It's also easy for me because Willie is the photographer. So he's like, okay, let's down the stairs.
Tilt your head up, turn it.
Yes,
okay, perfect.
Exactly. But so everybody in this karaoke bar starts like losing it when the opening lines of this song start. And I am looking around and I am the only person who is not. And then I heard again to the Pink Pony Club. And I was like, okay, I've heard this part. I've heard like Pink Pony Club. But and it's not even always just for not wanting to. It's just like, I like what I like. I'm kind of stubborn and like my music taste is erratic, but I like what I like. And it's just, like, but yeah, it is interesting when you sort of are faced with those moments where you're like, pop culture is passing me by, I think. Like I'm officially being left behind. I don't know who these people are.
Well, one of the pop culture trends I totally got sucked into was the Nobody Wants This series on Netflix.
Yes.
Pure gold. But then everyone was like, Adam Brody, OC. I'm like, I have never seen this show.
Me either.
Wait, you're kidding?
No, I've never seen Friends. I've never seen.
I've seen Friends.
Breaking Bad. I've never seen Game of Thrones. And this is not because I have to watch Law and Order.
Well,
the 500th time.
I think the argument can be made that you were living in a van during some of the peak of those shows. So like Breaking Bad, you were definitely like mostly off grid.
Yeah.
And
probably being compared to Breaking Bad. In fact, I think a lot of people probably made that joke, especially because I'm out in the desert. And then I got the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of
real
weed
suspicious.
No meth, but
I think that there's some funny content ideas in there, but maybe you should watch the show before we dive into Bree's memes about Breaking Bad.
It's going to be my Breaking Bad era.
Just now I just want to organize an entire Breaking Bad photo shoot with the van because it's so easy. And
with the dogs, we get them involved, like the little goggles or whatever, right?
And like you get
about stuff. It's not the details.
I'm just not picturing.
And I was like, I know it's about like a witch who goes to college. And that was the extent that I knew about it. I loved it. Oh my God. I wish I could. Maybe I'll watch that again tonight after I eat my butternut squash.
My mother was so upset we watched that. They were here. We watched it for New Year's Eve. She goes, wait, it's just part one? And I'm like, sorry. Yes, you're going to have to wait. I don't know how many years.
I was horrified when I realized, I was like, it has to be coming to an end.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait a minute. But the first scene, she said she was dead. Like, what's up? Like, we're never going to. Fuckers. I had no idea it was part one either.
Have either of you ever seen the actual musical?
No.
Oh.
The only musical I've ever seen is Book of Mormon, which is a requirement if you're a non-Mormon living in Utah. The shows in Utah are always extra lit. Like the crowd is just, it's a different vibe. Because we're all
a different breed.
You're like, it's all true.
Yes.
It's like when I went to the movies to watch Devil Wears Prada when it came out. And I was working in fashion at the time. And my friend and I were crying, laughing. Not like no one else was reacting the way we were. And we're like, it's true. The Cuban cheese is true. It was bananas.
God, you've done like every single thing in every.
I've done a lot. Anything you want to make, we can make it. You just give me a list. You're like, what do you want? What do you want?
That's
supplements,
amazing.
CBD, jewelry, clothes, shoes,
all that.
Podcast, which congratulations.
Oh my God. I'm sitting here being like, my podcast is nothing like it. It's basically several manic episodes on film.
Perfect. That's an entire genre.
And I've been trying really hard to, like, this is something I still, again, really struggle with. It's like, if something isn't perfect and I compare it to other people's podcasts, like I had to like look up like how to make a podcast. And it's so homegrown. It's like totally amateur, and I'm fine with that, but it's almost humbling to start this new endeavor when I'm already so established on like Instagram. Like I'm like, oh, we got 5 followers. This is like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's humbling and then to just not really know what you're doing and have to wrangle my best friend who is absolutely ungovernable.
Obsessed with her.
She is truly one of a kind. And it's also kind of nice to be the sidekick on an endeavor. Like she is definitely talks the most, has all the zingers, but I'm hoping like she had to like talk me into, she's like, just post it, put the first video up. Like, what's the worst that happens? People don't like it and don't want to follow along. And I was like, so I have this problem with like not putting things out until they're perfect, because it's like a control thing. And I do this with my books and my editor gets really mad. I hold on to those things for dear fucking life. Like she's like, you can send me things in between due dates. Like if you just want to send me like one chapter, and I'm like, no, because I don't know where that chapter goes yet. And it needs to be exactly where I want it. And so like, and my editor was like, there's a reason I think that you don't have, like, I don't get very many big edits, like feedback of like, you should take this whole thing out. Like, it's more like gentle prodding. And I'm like, probably because I'm not only am I writing it, but I'm fucking editing it and being obsessive about it. And yeah, I don't know. It's very challenging, but I'm trying to just let go of like, nothing is going to be perfect. One day, maybe we'll look back and be like, oh my God, that first episode was so ridiculous. But it's at the end of the day, I'm laughing with my best friend. So it's like, who cares, you know? But yeah, it's been fun. My abs hurt for sure, because we've been and we have to talk like every day now. So we're constantly like, we were just on FaceTime with each other, just silently typing for like an hour, like not even talking to each other. So it's been fun. Yeah. So thank you. I'm taking some tips.
Yeah, please do. I mean, it's an honor, the number of people who call and they're like, so we've got an idea. What do we really do? And I'm like, okay, hold on. Because I'm really proud of like the production quality that we've gotten to in our systems. Like we, we're dabbling about bringing in some new podcasts under the Powerful Ladies name. And because we can just like do this, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm really proud of that part. And I'm also not a perfectionist. Like I know where it should be. If it's 80%, I know from launching so many products and things, like we have to, the last 20% we'll never know until we start. So we can be in this circle.
Exactly what my buddy Jared, that very thing, he's like graphic design for this like THC seltzer company. And he was so frustrated because they just kept going back and like, this should be, and he was like, if it's 80, he was like, if it's 80% good, you got to just go. You got to start. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a good, but this is kind of why I like doing things that like scare me, because then, or like, make me uncomfortable, because I'm like, I don't want to be governed by those feelings, and so it's like, it's hard, but yeah, eventually you just gotta like take a deep breath and click post.
Yeah.
It's so funny how quickly, like, we think so long about these decisions, and all it really takes is like one moment. It's almost like getting to the cliff edge. Like, I'm a big cliff jumper. I love jumping off stuff. And
Me too.
I know, I know that the longer you stand at the top, it really does. As someone who loves jumping off stuff, the longer you stand at the top, the scarier it's going to get. And I just always feel like that's such an apropos for all different things in life, because especially people read my books and how did you make these like big, crazy decisions? And honestly, sometimes my answers are like not that pretty, but I'm just like, I don't know. I'm going to be dead soon. So like someday I'm going to die. I don't know. Like, why not? Like, whenever people are preserving themselves, either like their bodies, like, oh, I could never go skydiving because what if I die? You're going to die anyway. So it's like, what are you saving yourself for? Death? Like, it's just, I feel like people don't realize like how much you can. I don't know. I get like down a rabbit hole about this. Also, there's a large raccoon in that tree right now.
Just saying hi.
Like, good thing it's not in our yard, because my dogs would try to kill it.
He's just waving hi from a safe place.
That's where that thought went. I was like, am I? Anyways, something about raccoons.
I do know. Go ahead, Shay.
No, go, Kara.
I was going to talk about jumping off things, because if I am on a pier, on a bridge, if there's a body of water below me, I have my immediate response that I have to stop every time. Like, luckily my brain does this for me without me logically processing it. Is always like, ooh, jump.
Oh yeah.
How did that sneak through the
intrusive thoughts?
Yes.
I was babysitting. Oh my God. I was babysitting the other night. And I mean, I'm so comfortable with kids. I nannied. I could change 5 diapers at once with my eyes closed, like, which is interesting. People are always surprised by that, since I don't want to have kids. But I still, every now and again, like, all my friends have started having babies. And so there's much more babies around me. And every time I hold one, I'm like, what if I dropped it? Or just, what if I threw it? No, I'm kidding. Like, but just, my brain will do, and then I'm like, stop thinking that. Like, stop. You're not going to drop it. I'm like, I'm not going to drop it. I'm like standing in the living room, just be like, what if I drop it? Weird little, our brains are it's so bizarre. So many times it seems like they're actually just actively working against us.
Yeah.
Like, I've joked about feel normal today. Well, here's this fucking weird thing.
Well, cuteness aggression is like a thing. And my best friend from high school and I joke about it all the time. Like, why is that a thing? Like, why do I look at something cute and go, ah? Like, what is that?
My poor dog, I literally grab Banjo's face and just gently shake it.
What is that?
That you're not going to want to do with a baby.
No, that's not safe. But the question is why? Like, what in the genetic code allowed that to slip through?
Yeah, or even the phrase, true. I want to eat you up. Like,
or it's almost like you're so overwhelmed with how cute it is that like your body just goes into shock and anger and fear.
All the emotions are cycling through as fast as possible. No. Well, speaking of dropping babies and a raccoon, have you seen the video of the dad getting bit by the raccoon and throws his kid?
Yes. I know a mother would have like pulled out a samurai sword and like, yeah.
But I am a sucker for physical comedy. Like I will inappropriately laugh seeing people getting injured.
Yes.
I don't know how to stop it. I've tried to work on this. I can't. I just now live. But I have watched that so many times and I full vibrating laughing on the couch. And I'm like, this is again, I think I might be a little broken and this is how I know.
Aren't we all? No. Physical comedy is the best.
Yeah, AFV. We all America's Funniest Home Videos. We were pre-programmed for this.
Oh my God, you're
AFV.
so right.
AFV.
Bob
It did it to
Saget.
us. We were pre-programmed.
Wow. That's
And
a
then
flash from the past.
there's an Instagram account called Kids Getting Hurt. Just saying. There
Is.
We're not alone.
There is. And they always clarify the kid was fine. I mean, they're resilient. They bounce. It's whatever. But another one that I love is kook slams, which is just like people falling, like so good. And again, they're not dead, so it's fine. If I had took a hilarious spill, I would absolutely post it online. It's your responsibility to bring joy to other people.
Yes, 100%. 100%. So we're going to make a little bit of a pivot. So we're cautious of our time. But when you think of the words powerful and ladies, how would you define them? And does that definition change when they're next to each other?
Ooh. I think powerful to me is, I think being really, the most powerful thing I can think of is being like very at peace with yourself, because that creates like a shield. And that's something that I've had to work on. It's just being like, I am safe and comfortable here. And that is my power. Like my power is having like, not everything is going to pierce this, not everything that someone does or says, or every criticism or every, misstep is going to totally make me fall apart. So I feel powerful in like having a real strong sense of self, because that's very attainable and it's mine, it's yours, no one can take it. It's like a very safe thing to like actually feel that. Ladies, I think of immediately Beyonce is coming to mind. I love the combination of like powerful ladies too, especially because like ladies is more like, it sounds more like casual, like, ooh, ladies, but then you put powerful with it. And it's like that beautiful combination that we were talking about in the beginning of like multiple facets of being a woman. Is kind of, you can be powerful in whatever way that appears to you, whether it's strong, whether it's in your career, whether you're like physically a bodybuilder or breaking down any sort of barriers, and then still be recognized as like, we're a bunch of gals, we want to sit around and gab. Like it's like, I think that that's kind of what's really cool about it, because there is something about women gathering together that I think it's like, not only like, I feel like we've all done really cool shit, but I never feel like I'm in a group of women and it's all we talk about. It's all we talk about is like the big stuff that we did, the important stuff. We talk about like, do you remember Ricky Lake? Like it's sort of like, there's a sense of ease. And I think that's just makes women like, when those conversations are taking place first and foremost, and that comfortability is established, I think women are more comfortable hyping themselves up. Like talking to you guys, it like, I feel comfortable in saying like things like, yeah, I really hope like a 3rd New York Times bestseller. Like I'm really like, I feel more comfortable to say the things that I like hope and want for myself, that like maybe I wouldn't just announce to a room of people. So I feel like having this specific place for that, but not having it be this like overwhelming sort of like, I'm being really like interviewed, like prove to us why you deserve to be on a podcast called Powerful Ladies. It's like, I think women just sense that in other women, and it doesn't even have to be because you're in the same field or you're in this, it's like, there's just something you sense, and there's like a comfortability there, because I think in order to be, like I said, a powerful woman, you have to be self-assured. Because I think women have 2 options. And unfortunately, a lot of them pick the not great one, which is seeing someone who's doing something that impresses you, or maybe you want to do that. And you can either say, I'm jealous, and by being jealous and sort of hateful, that's somehow going to elevate me. It's not. Or you can say, look at this amazing woman, and then turn it around and say, what about her is like stirring up something in me? Like, is it that she made this big decision and I'm thinking about that decision last year that I should have made? Well, guess what, girl, go make it. Not too late. You can either sit around and be bummed about other women doing stuff, but there's room for all of us. You got to be a girl's girl.
And I think that so many women understand the collaboration over competition when we really talk about it. Like I was even trying to dig through, like, who said that first? Did a guy say that? Because I feel like there's so many things that get put on us, even the descriptions we were talking about earlier of, oh, are you a horse girl? Are you an outdoor girl? I'm like, who was giving us singular Barbie outfit identities? Like last time I checked, there's a whole
American
wardrobe.
Girl doll are you? Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think it's unfortunate that we can see each other's power, but we also can sense when somebody isn't connected to their power.
Yeah.
And that's the part for me that's heartbreaking. Like I was in a room with people and they're like, I was being grilled about, in a nice way. I was more about my other business, but they were like, well, if you're running Powerful Ladies, like, what do you wish everyone knew? And I'm like, okay. I was like, I wish everyone knew that you are already powerful. Like you were born that way. Like, what do you want to do with it? And I don't care if you want to be like, I'm going to make dog sweaters or I'm going to run, Goldman Sachs. I don't really care what the thing you're going to do is, but please do your thing. Because the state of the world is like
the power, like of having the power of choice as well obviously in every area.
Yeah.
But I also think that that's kind of why being different or like always sort of being comfortable being different has been helpful for me in terms of making kind of bigger, more ostentatious, maybe life decisions. But I also feel like it's still, I would never want someone, I mean, if this is kind of how I wrote my books, like I tried to make it very clear that there was nothing about me particularly like genetically coded that I was going to go live on a sailboat and then live in a van and jump off stuff all the time. Like that's not who I just was. Like I did have to sort of become that person. And there's nothing so special about me that I could do this and you can't. Like, of course, you talk about like privileges and baselines, starting places, of course. But at the end of the day, everybody has the power to just decide to change their life. I sound like Tony Robbins, but like, like just feel like that's also another thing that feels so powerful. Like, and again, maybe this is even like an intrusive thought, but sometimes I'm just like, isn't it weird that I could just put that sequin outfit on and go to the grocery store right now? Like it's clothes. Like these are rules we made up. We made up that would be weird. Like none of this is real. Like I have these weird thoughts where I'm just like, none of this is really real. And we focus on like these tiny little things as opposed to just like, what do you want to do? This is your life. What do you want? Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to wear? Just,
Well, that's why I think 8-year-old girls are like, I'm usually asking someone, you've already kind of answered the question of like, well, but 8-year-old you have expected. But it's like, no, because 8-year-old, you got like one foot into, I can make myself a grilled cheese. And the other foot in, like anything is possible.
Yeah.
Like I of course I'm wearing sequins to go to school today. Yeah. Like, and I think that there's every like moment I have ever felt the most powerful, like those 10 days when you're like, this is living. It has always been 8-year-old version of me who's been like, yes, in the background. And it's like, I remember even like people come back from Burning Man and they're like, I'm just going to wear sequins for a month. And like it fades off. And you're like, maybe I shouldn't wear that to the grocery store or to work. But
these are not work appropriate nipple tassels.
Right. Right. A little drafty. It's hard to type. So I wish more people were just asking themselves, how do you make 8-year-old you happy or proud?
Yeah.
You're going to make the right choice. I also think we should let kids run for office because they would also make the right choices.
Well, it's interesting. Like when my whole life was falling apart, it's like the end of 2019, like my marriage, when I say that, like, I was really lost, didn't really know who I was, if I was going to be able to finish writing my first book, because now everything I had written about this like fairy tale was like, obviously had to change the ending on that book. But I felt like I went into a Petco, I think, just to get dog food. And there's a little ball python. And I had a ball python growing up, and I used to rollerblade around this little like waterfront spot. And they had a picture of me in the newspaper that probably said like weird child rollerblading with a snake on her neck. But his
So
name was
Brittany of
Goose.
you.
Yeah. And so I was like, so I just looked at this snake and just was like, I need that. I can
Mm-hmm.
do that. No one's going to tell me I can do all the stuff that I said I wanted to do when I was a kid. And then I went and bought fucking rollerblades. So I literally was like, I'm buying a snake and I'm buying rollerblades. And I just remember thinking like, and then I have my 4 dogs, and I'm like, 8-year-old me would be stoked. And 8-year-old me would be like, ew, we didn't end up with the boy. Who cares? We have the dogs and the snakes, you know?
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, it was very liberating to just be like, let's keep it as simple as can be for right now, because I am struggling. What are these core things that make me feel like kind of safe again? Like, and this is really me, this true set. And it could be something as small as fucking buying rollerblades. Like, just anything that like connects you to like the joys that you felt when you were younger, and like
Mm-hmm.
you didn't have to have a reason as to why you did stuff or why you wore stuff. Or but yeah, I think it's a lot easier than people think to like have that sort of connection to a younger version of yourself at the forefront as much as possible.
It's the number one way that, excuse me, I help people double their business. We do that exercise. And that's what
Hey,
your business should be towards.
that's so smart. Yeah. So like rollerblading, snake tours.
Yes. That could be next. Come to our what's the TV show?
Breaking.
Breaking Bad.
Comma breaking.
Come to the Breaking Bad van, and then we'll do some roller skating Python tours. Like, this is
Honestly, yeah. Hey kids, get in the van. You want to see the snake? No, I actually did just say to my friend, I was like, I can't wait to be all your kids' weird aunt who brings her snakes to their classroom for like show and tell. Like, who wants to pet the snake? I'm like, I'm just gonna lean in. It's so fun when you just finally get to lean into just being kind of weird. Like, who fucking cares? Like, I used to get teased for being like a reptile kid. And now I'm like, do you guys want to hold my snakes? Like 40-year-old people come in my house and I'm like, do you guys want to see my snakes?
And they say yes.
Care. That's who I am. Everybody says yes. Everybody says yes.
You could sell tickets. That would be a really fun Instagram giveaway.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, but it's so liberating to just be who you are. And I just hope everybody, I mean, I think every woman especially deserves to get to that place one day, but you have to put the work in. It doesn't just happen. And like, I've had to change a lot of things about myself. From 25 to 35, I love the person who I am. 25, I was kind of really leaning in too hard to the like stubbornness. And again, like I said earlier, it was kind of like I had to be very anti in order to justify, not only to my mom, but also to myself, that sleeping in a van on the streets of Salt Lake City was somehow really profound experience, you know, like, and it was, but it takes a lot of convincing, you know. It's not like, and I always tell people like, nobody has ever done something new for the first time and had no fear, no doubt. Willie would say he has, but but like that white male confidence. He is like, I feel like I think I wrote that in my second book. Said I always thought it was brave people who did brave things. I never paused to consider how many of them were absolutely terrified. And so I just feel like people think of like powerful women or brave women as other from them in some way. And that isn't like an attainable bridge. And it's just not the case. And I wish women would be fucking nicer to each other. Seriously, we got a problem on the internet. It must be.
We do. We do. It has like...
It breaks my fucking heart. I'm like, this is the patriarchy at work. You realize that, right? Like, we are like... The point is for us to go after each other and hate each other and think that that's how we solve the problems. I'm like, you guys are buying in. Wake up. Be girl's girl.
All right. So 2 more questions and then we
Yeah.
can let you get back to your day. The first is, where do you put yourself on the powerful lady scale? If 0 is average everyday human and 10 is most powerful lady you can imagine, where would you rank yourself today and on an average day?
See, I'm feeling all gassed from chatting with you guys and from Shay saying that she thought I was cool.
You are cool.
I think, I mean, I would honestly probably say, like, realistically, like, I would think of myself as like an 8, but only because I think that what has, like, I feel powerful, and it feels like a type of powerful that comes naturally to me in a way. Like, I sort of like, I'm not trying to like run a business I know nothing about. I'm not like drowning myself in 100 hours of work a week. Like, I really just saw things that I love, saw different possibilities for how I could live my life. And it was very easy for me to sort of make those decisions. And so I think having that deep internal, having that deep internal compass has always made me feel like powerful, and almost like, I like, by that I mean like safe. Like, if I know who I am and I know what I want, there is a power in that. On an average day, we're talking 2, 3 best.
Yeah.
Again, the imposter Birdie, she can tell that I'm getting upset about. Okay, thank you.
She's like, no, Mom, you're a 10.
He has a
you're
lot
a 10.
She's like, you're very special. But yeah, the imposter syndrome definitely gets to me. And a lot of the comparison stuff still gets to me, as in, like, all my friends started having kids, and I really had like a 6-month period where I was like, not for a minute questioning my decision, but just sort of feeling kind of like left behind in a way. I don't know. I don't know how that came up either. Birdie distracted me with her disgusting breath, honestly.
Well, this is a community that is vast and connected and makes magic and ridiculous things happen all the time. So what is something that we can help you with? What's to do to manifest, big, small? Like, what do you need? What do you want?
I mean, I would love to come back and talk to you about my 3rd book.
Yes, please.
That would be nice. Yeah. And I don't know what else. Interview my friend Alice, because she's so badass and she deserves to be interviewed. And she looked at me the other night and she goes, no one's ever interviewed me before, which makes for a really great interview. I think. Especially like this type of like, and that's what I told her. I was like, it's always just like a conversation, but I really am. It sounds so cheesy, but I really am genuinely thrilled and lifted up to see other women get recognized for things that are important, and or even just important to them. Like, I think that there's something, I feel like it fills my cup a little bit. So I guess I'd love to come back and talk about my 3rd book. And I'm just so happy that this podcast exists and that you guys
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, it's really an honor. You've been on the list of guests that we wanted since, I think, day 1.
Yay!
Like, I don't know if you know, like, how Shay and I got connected. Like, I worked with her brother in 3 jobs before I did this. And one of my rules for clients when they launch anything is that you have to email everyone you know that it is launched and give them 3 things that you want from them, like follow, spread the word, whatever.
Yeah.
And with Powerful Ladies, I hesitated. I was like, oh, maybe I should include all the men. That might be annoying. And then I had to stop myself and be like, nope, follow your own rule.
Yeah.
And I did. And her brother was like, love this. Congratulations. I think you need to know my sister. And she became like employee number 2.
Oh my God. My brother would never say that. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is just like a Shay like love fest. But I remember asking Willie afterwards. I was like, after I met you, I was like, Shay's so cool. Do you think she likes me? Like, that's how much I had absolutely no idea. No idea.
Which is so funny.
But I kind of prefer that. Like, I'm like,
Mhm.
I feel like maybe I would be nervous. Like sometimes my book events, I get nervous
Sure.
because I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it's so much easier to just like I love when people come up to me on the street and I can just be like, oh, sorry, I was in my car crying. It's so nice to meet you. Like, but like, it's just because I'm there's not like a professional bone in my
Mhm.
body. Like I'm just so I think I'm constantly just like trying to be friends with everybody and make things comfortable and easy and conversation flow. And so, yeah, I'm too busy thinking about that to realize that Shay already thought I was cool.
Well, we met under the pretense of work, and then I was like, no, fuck that. We're friends now.
Yeah, exactly. I slept in your house.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time we met, I was like, let's do mountain film stuff, like for sure. And then within 5 minutes, I was like, no. I mean,
go to
yes,
the bar instead.
but like that's not the most important thing that's happening right here.
You're like,
We
yes,
just became
and
friends.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
But it's so cool. I mean, especially like even working in this realm. I mean, how many amazing people you meet that are like goes beyond like, oh, let's hang out. And like that's something that's really cool for me because like I said, I'm like a loner, you know, like I forget that there's like lots of cool people that I've met that I want to hang out with more and that I want to go, you know, see where they live. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm late. I had my like hermit years and now I think I was so like overstimulated and like traumatized for a while that I was like kind of went into like a cocoon. And now just recently I just kind of feel like I'm excited to kind of like go back out into the world again and like meet people and have my time for myself this year to make the decisions like where I want to go, who I want to be with. So yeah.
I love that.
Well, list for sure.
There we go. Well, it's definitely be hanging out there in May. For everybody who wants to follow you that isn't already and is like, I want to hang out with you. Yes, I want to meet you at a book signing. Where can they do all those things?
So my Instagram is just my name, Brianna Madia, BriannaMadia. And my website is briannamadia.com. And that's got kind of tour information, book information. You can buy stickers of my dog's butthole, just everything you could ever dream of. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Well, this has been such a treat. Thank you so much for being a guest to us and Powerful Ladies. And yeah, I can't wait to see you soon.
Yay. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with a friend. Head to thepowerfulladies.com where you can find all the links to connect with Bri, find her books, her podcast, as well as learn more about Powerful Ladies. Come hang out with us on Instagram at Powerful Ladies, and you can find me and all of my socials at karaduffy.com. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Until then, I hope you're taking on being powerful in your life. Go be awesome and up to something you love.